Hello and welcome to the Slapshot Syndicate podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more content, and whilst you're at it, go and follow our social media pages. They're on screen now. Now, on to the episode.
Bradders, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, good weekend, mate. Good weekend.
Very good weekend. Another one to be happy for a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, I think before we get into it, though, I've got a bit of a bone to pick with you.
Oh no. What have I done this time?
Well, you betted against us, didn't you?
I know we say we should never go against your home team, but unfortunately I will go against my home team on this one.
I did,
Yeah.
and I think I had every right to.
You did, but then you also said, were you going to declaw the kitties? I think you you referred to Telford, but...
Well, I've just somewhere down here, but I'm sure the claws of Swindon's round here somewhere. I mean, Seahawks did send them.
Yeah. True fan.
So we'll start with Saturday then. Seahawks travelled to Milton Keynes to have a game against the Lightning, obviously top of the table. What did you expect going into it?
I was nervous, to be honest, all day, because I just wasn't sure. It's one of them things, innit? You either turn up or you don't, and I just thought, I think I said last week, if we have a period or 15 minutes or so where we're not concentrating, MK could easily put 4 or 5 past us. Yeah. Luckily, we seemed to turn up defensively. It was absolutely solid. It was really competitive game, end to end. And, we were really unlucky, I think, not to come away with 2 points. But getting the point away to them is massive for us. So I was, in all, relatively happy with that game.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming off, 5 straight wins.
Yeah.
Like I said, top of the table. Things are going well for them. We haven't had the best record going to Milton Keynes, so I was equally as nervous as you was going into it. I didn't expect really anything from it. I saw it as a point would have been a bonus, which is obviously what we got on the night. But seeing the shots on goal there, they had 40 to our 24, so we was outshot on the night, like you said, defensively absolutely solid once again. Yeah. I think you'd have to go back to Deck Barmer again, coming in, and his solidity in defence once again is showing. It
was absolutely solid. I mean, the game went in peaks and troughs, so when MK turned it on, the pressure was immense. You could see how determined they was to try and score. Luckily for us, they did get a few power plays, but they haven't had the best power play goal scoring percentage this season, so we managed to kill quite a few of them, which I was happy but surprised at. There was a point in the game though where Bonner went into the boards.
Yeah, a collision with the goaltender.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about that one, but that was really alarming. He literally just got clipped by the keeper, and before you know it, he was crashing straight into the boards. So, straight away the paramedics and everybody was on the ice attending to him. He must have been down for a good 2 or 3 minutes or so before getting back up to his feet and being escorted off the ice. So it was a little bit alarming, but luckily the reception he got was great. Nice to see, to be honest, all the hockey fans coming together and clapping him off the ice, and hope he gets better soon.
Yeah. So we'll have a bit of a closer look at the game itself. So obviously Milton Keynes scored in the first 2.5 minutes into the game. For me that would make me a bit worried. You think, is the machine going to start from that point and go on and kick on against us? But, it didn't. In fact, Seahawks stuck with the game plan, stuck with what they was doing, and in the end, Seahawks then went 3 unanswered.
Yeah. Arguably, we was more efficient, I think, in the game. So our game management there was just slightly bit better than MK's was. And, I think that's what got us the result in the end. Yeah. So, bit of game management to see us over the line. Yeah,
I mean, we'll talk about Svek. I believe he scored twice on the night. So another 2 goals for him. I think we mentioned him last week that he'd sort of just turned his form around a little bit, and then to knock another 2 goals on Saturday night was class from him, and carrying us a little bit once again.
Really good. As is Jason Hewitt again. He's come up trumps recently, and we've talked about his form and the ability to score goals in games that really matter, and then moments that really matter, and he just shone through bright on Saturday night, so worth mentioning.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, Seahawks did force overtime in the game, massive point for us. Unfortunately, it was only 1 minute and 10 seconds later, and unfortunately we lost the game.
Yeah, But for us, it's maybe the wrong way to look at it, because we, like you said earlier, you go into that game maybe just expecting to be walked over or not come away with anything, but we shouldn't really look at it like that. We should be going into these games full of confidence in our own ability and really taking it to them. Luckily for us, Matty and the lads do, so it makes for really good watching. Just not great on the nerves.
So we'll move on from Saturday's game to Sunday's game, where Hull Seahawks was back at home, hosting the Swindon Wildcats.
Yeah.
You know, as you rightly said, I was the first one to say I didn't expect Seahawks to get anything from the game.
Mate.
You know, again, Swindon coming off a real nice run of form. Jake Bricknell, which we've mentioned in the past couple of weeks, his goal scoring record at the minute is absolutely off the absolute chains at the minute. He's flying. And
to be honest, like, seeing him in person, it really helps us understand his game a bit better, I'd say, wouldn't you? I mean, he was really good on the puck. I mean, he was lightning down the wings as well. So, luckily with the likes of Barmer and Haywood at the back, you got that experience to try and manage him. But you could really see how maybe a younger team or a team with just a little bit less experience might leave him wandering a little bit. Yeah. Before you know it, he's in and on goal. So I think we did really well to see that one. But a fantastic player and a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, I think it was his second goal on the night. He sort of came down the right-hand side of Seahawks, and the angle was massively against him. He just slapped it top corner. I was just like, there is a goal scorer to be seen there. Yeah. He really does finish really well.
Almost in awe at you, really, when you watch that calibre of player.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's great for the league to see a player like that in there who can bring that sort of wow factor. I mean, like you say, I know it's against our team, and we was obviously not wanting that to happen, but to actually see it, you just got to tip your hat to him and just say that's a class act.
I said last week it might be more of a challenge to stop him scoring than it is a challenge for him to score, and I think that was actually quite an accurate reflection of him, because he was on the puck all the time. He was making things happen. He was in the spaces to get shots off. If he wasn't in the space, he was pulling it in and firing something from out of nowhere. Just, you can see why Swindon have got him in that team and will want to retain him, I'd assume.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me personally, watching the game, I know it was early on where both teams had scored within the first 10 minutes and it was 1-1. But Swindon, you could see why they're there and thereabouts. There was just a class act. I think there was 3 or 4 times where they played one pass from the D and they'd broken the line, and they had a forward going through one-on-one with Dima, who also had an absolute incredible game for me. He made some quality saves on the night and probably kept Hull in it for a long part of the game.
Yeah, because I think, as a Hull fan, we've noticed recently Matty changing the keepers, so maybe one plays a Saturday, one plays a Sunday. This week, Dima played Saturday and Sunday. You think that's the right call?
Yeah, I do, yeah. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Dima. I've seen him for many, many years now, and usually when he's against us, it's for Sheffield and is a joke. He just wins the games. But to now have him in net for us, I mean, me personally, I didn't really agree with the whole one keeper one night, one keeper the other night. I think you need consistency. The D-men need to know which one's staying behind them. You know the strengths of your goalkeeper then, don't you? At least you know, I know I back Dima in this instance where Geordie might not, which is nothing against Geordie as a goaltender. But I just think sometimes when a goalkeeper's bang at it, which we've seen Dima in the past few weeks has been absolutely on fire, made some great saves, some saves that he shouldn't be making. Yeah,
definitely. But they're also raising each other's games. I'm sure Jordan's now got that fire in his belly where he's going to come out and want to prove a point. Dinar should be in that net against any team.
Well, it works for Leeds. They've got 2 great goaltenders, and like I say, they both have to swap between them. One will sit and one won't, but it's just down to form and who's playing best at the time.
Yeah. You need that man of the moment at the end of the day, and I wouldn't disagree with you that. I think Dima is best suited for that, certainly at the moment. But
so looking again a bit closer at the stats, the players on the night, Jake Bricknell picking up another 2 goals against Hull. Once, like you said earlier, it's bigger challenge to stop him from scoring than anything else. It's almost just a guarantee now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought Seahawks imports were great on the night.
Unbelievable.
All 3 of them involved, one way or another. Some great graft from Cornel for me.
I tell you who needs mentioning. Josh Hodgkinson.
Yeah.
What a game he had. What a weekend he had, in fact. We didn't mention it in the MK game, but he had a fight in the game, and you know, it was nothing much, but you could see it brewing for a while, and this, I think that really just lifted the guys. There was no better moment to fight for me, and you know that really ignited the scoreline, I think.
Yeah, that's class. Like I said, Josh Hodgkinson did score for Hull Seahawks first on the night as well. So big kudos to him. He's showing his worth since he's come in. I really like him. You can see he's played at a decent level, and that's showing.
He's a tough lad, and he's solid at the back. I mean, he doesn't make many mistakes, but he's tough as well. So he fits in very well with the likes of Deck. And you know, David Phillips, I'm sure, will be eager to get back and get in his spot as well. So another defender again, Tom Stubley. For me, he's not been on great form recently, but this weekend really stepped up. He knew that it mattered, and he was there to do the job. So.
Yeah, I really like Stubbers, to be fair. I think, you know, he works hard. Yeah, Stubbs on me.
Stubbs on.
But yeah, I like him. Really like him. I think he's a quality defenseman, and I think I've already said to you guys that he'd be one of the players I would sign on for next season straight without even thinking about it. I think he offers a lot to the team. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, you've got the likes of Johnny Corneal and Owen Sobchak. Well, I mean, all three of our imports, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it.
Amazing,
you know, there was all quality on the night, either involved in goals or assists.
Yeah. But again, for me, Sobchak on that puck, just what a presence he brings to the game. It's so you see, don't you? As soon as he picks up the puck, he skates into the final third of the rink, and players just don't know what to do with him. Well, or they'll try and just give him that bit of that extra space because they know if they engage him, he's just round them.
Yeah,
he's just round them. I mean, behind the net, he's just swinging back and forth, knocking the puck into likes of Svek. It's just unbelievable. I don't think you can really do him justice. If you haven't seen him in person, then I would make the effort to.
So looking on the night, for me personally watching it, there was a point in the night, and I think I leant over to you and Rossi on the night and just says the momentum's changing here. There just seems to be something in the middle of the night where the crowd started getting a bit more into it. There started to be a few more harder hits, and Swindon didn't seem to like that on the night, but obviously it favoured Hull on the night, and we started to put the pressure on, and it told in the end. Yeah,
of course. And you know, Tyler Plews and Deck was having words at one point, so you nearly got what you wanted.
I was hoping.
That would have been interesting, wouldn't it? So.
Yeah, that'd have just end of the night. That'd have been just peak, that wouldn't it? Yeah. Just get the result and then get the fight we would all love to have seen.
Yeah, and just again, talking about how close a game it was. I mean, you only have to look at each keeper's save percentage.
Very, very similar.
88.46% for Hull and 88.24% for Swindon.
Which we've mentioned Rennie before about how good a goaltender he is and what he's brought to Swindon, and he will win games on his own just for the way he plays. His class. Yeah.
All in all, fantastic weekend.
Yeah, great weekend. Up to next weekend now. Yeah. And hopefully we keep it going.
Great for us on the game standings, and we'll see how we can push forward with this one.
Up the Seahawks. So now we're going to look at the weekend's fixtures, brothers. Some good results over the weekend, some surprise ones as well.
Yeah, very good. So, started on Saturday the 11th of January, Swindon against Sheffield Steel Dogs. Quite a close game, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. We'd already said about, obviously, Swindon, the machine, how it's going. It seems to be just churning for the results as they come, but Sheffield forced them into a decent game, 4-3 result. Swindon did get the 2 points at the end, but they're certainly being pushed at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, for Steel Dogs as well, I think you'd take that against a team. You could have got run over, really, by Swindon. So
yeah, and I mean, after the cup exit for Sheffield, they've been on a bit of a slump. The results haven't been fantastic, have they? So to put in a bit of a performance against a good Swindon side will give them some motivation, I'm sure. Yeah,
just show you're still up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And we've got Solway Sharks against the Peterborough Phantoms. That ended 5-3 to Peterborough.
Yeah, I think that was a difficult game to call that. I don't know what you're ever going to get when you play sort of Solway. You either go to their place and they give you a good game, or they're just hard to play against. You know, you look at them and I never see it as a banker.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, they're a bit of a bogey team.
Yeah.
And we've mentioned them as being a bogey team for Hull, so... by the looks of it, other teams think the same. The travel must just kill you. So yeah. But Peterborough managed to go there, come away with a win. So
that's big for them. That
very big, very good.
Sort of like you say, chase for playoff spots and where they want to be.
Yeah, definitely. Then Bristol Pitbulls against Leeds Knights.
Yeah, 7-0 for Leeds Knights on that one. So
There.
I believe it was Gospel in goal, so he got a shutout on the night. So big congratulations, Gozzy.
Rough night though for Bristol, that, innit?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird how just if you put a 1 in that column, it just makes it look a bit better, doesn't it? Nobody wants to be nilled on the night.
Yeah, well, we'll come on to the Sunday results.
But yeah, it meant Leeds started to get the wins going again after a couple of difficult games, couple of losses. So them back on the winning margin, an emphatic start was big for them.
Yeah, of course. And then obviously coming on to Milton Keynes against Hull, MK come away with the 2 points. Obviously, we got a point from that game, so it was 4-3 in overtime. That's Leeds are probably looking at that and thinking, okay, well, we know what we've got to compete with now, and yeah,
it's a result that benefited both sides for me. Milton Keynes got the 2 points in the end, and we also got a point. Probably one that we wouldn't have expected to get. So I think both teams would come away quite happy with that.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, as much as a whole fan, you want the 2 points. Like you said, we went in there maybe expecting the worst and come out with something. So
it was a bonus.
Yeah, then you've got Telford Tigers against the Romford Raiders.
Yeah, it was the final fixture on the weekend. I mean, that is an absolute goal fest, isn't it, at 6-5. Big one for Telford, that, because they dropped to 10th in the league. So getting a big victory there, I know it's pushed them back up again into 9th. So
yeah, letting them know you're still there. And obviously the run Romford have been having recently has been quite good, to be honest. They've been quite a strong team, so, and certainly one to watch. Or you're not going to go to their rink and think you're going to win it easy, are you, at the moment?
Exactly that.
Yeah, Telford probably knew they had to dig deep for that one. And
yeah, I bet it was a decent watch as well, that nice, close, tight game.
11 goals.
What more do you want?
Yeah. So moving on to the Sunday's fixtures on the 12th of January. It was double header for Solway and Peterborough. Peterborough come away with the win it was 2-3, 3-2 in the end. So
4-point weekend for Peterborough.
Big 4-point weekend for Peterborough.
Again, another close score in the end. I bet they've had to dig deeper once again in that game to come out with the 2 points, but I'm sure that'll be a great weekend for them, and they'll be over the moon with that 4 points.
Yeah, and then Leeds Knights against Bristol, again, another double header. Coming on to what you said, a 1 in that column would always look good. 6-1 to Leeds. Yeah, I mean, Bristol, they knew what they was up against a very well-drilled Leeds team, but 1 goal over the whole weekend.
Yeah, I just think, like I just said about the reverse fixture, Leeds coming off them 2 losses, you can imagine they probably had a bit of a stern telling off and a bit of a kick up the backside, and it shows there, like say 7 and then 6 the next night, some goals are being scored, so I think they're going to push back in the right direction. Yeah,
well, we've had conversations, haven't we, about Leeds recently, especially after the results last weekend, like you mentioned, and it must have been a case of sitting them down and going, don't the bed now.
Yeah. I didn't even do no, I just did something with my walker and I'm got 6-game ban for it. Anyway, Bradley. As a member of A Block, you represent ice hockey in general, and you should know there's a few things that are banned in ice hockey. Smoking, cheering if you're a Sheffield fan, and swearing. Don't let me catch you doing it again.
You've still got this in the bag. Don't be thinking you've had it scraped away from you from MK. So luckily they've gone away and made a bit of a statement.
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Then you've got Romford Raiders against Sheffield Steel Dogs. 6-4 to Sheffield.
Yeah, so like I just said, they're putting a decent performance against Swindon. Yeah, they might not have got the points, but it was something to encourage them. And then the Sunday they get a good result against Romford.
Yeah. I mean, 6-4 is a decent result. 10 goals in a game, and relatively close. That very, very easily could have been 1 goal in that.
Yeah, and I can imagine, that'll be down to Sheffield's imports once again. Walker Somers having a blinder this season, and it will show in games like that where you really need your best characters to come out and they get the win. Yeah,
definitely. Then our game, the one we was in attendance for, Hull Seahawks against Swindon Wildcats. We've talked about this, but what a game, all in all. Come away with a result 4-3 for, I think it was the final couple of minutes on the clock to get that 4th goal for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic to watch. Great game to be in attendance. Big result for Hull Seahawks, obviously. Swindon, I think they'll be a bit disappointed after leaving the Hull Arena there. I think they might have thought they could just keep ploughing away the way they was and getting these results, but like you say, they came to Hull, and Hull can be a bit of a difficult place to come for teams.
Yeah, they can. They can. We've finally stopped that train.
Yeah, thank God for that. Made me eat my own words there. Didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So then, final game of the weekend, Berkshire Bees and MK Lightnings.
I did it last week, and I'm going to do it again. What a class act that is. You know, to not only just do it against Leeds the weekend before, and then to do it again at home against Milton Keynes is absolutely top draw from Berkshire there.
I mean, what the hell happened there?
Whatever it is, it's working for them. They're making their home a hard place to go. You know, and I have no words for that.
Milton Keynes are the team to beat, and then they're losing against the Bees. They've definitely got something. They must be taking something before that match.
Well, makes you wonder, doesn't it? It's, you know, people saw the Leeds game, saw the result, and was just like, wow, a bit of a freak result there. But then to do it again against another class side the week after, there's just no words for that. All I can say is well done.
And I tell you what, as well, if that double win up for Leeds didn't get the fire ignited, that has.
Yeah, seeing that helps Leeds. That I'm sure that'll push them back in the right direction on the games in hand as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and even for teams like us that are still pushing, you know, we've got a few points away from third, which we'll come into when we do the review there. But you know, seeing MK drop points is just opens it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Well, we'll have a look at the standings now and see how the league looks after we've concluded this weekend's fixtures. So Milton Keynes still top, 54 points, 35 played. To Leeds in second now, 33 played, 51 points. So as we were saying, they've got the 2 games in hand now. That puts them, you know, 55 if they win both.
Yeah.
Puts it back in their hands.
Definitely. You just don't lose games and it's yours.
Well, exactly that. But it can be easier said than done, innit? Like you say, we've mentioned how both of those two have lost to Berkshire in the past weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Then you've got, obviously, Leeds sat in second. Swindon Wildcats still in third. They've got 8 points currently on Hull Seahawks, who sit in fourth.
Yeah, but Hull Seahawks have got a game in hand there, so it can drop to 6.
Yeah.
So 6 points isn't too far to get back.
No, and I believe Swindon got some big games coming up this weekend as well, so we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, it could be closed right up by the end of next weekend.
Yeah. I tell you what, it is just worth mentioning how exciting this season's been. I mean, last couple of seasons, Leeds have really shown their class, especially these latter stages, but everybody's right with them out there.
There's some nice sort of like things to fight for in the league. Still, it's not just Leeds have ran away with it. You know, you get the same sort of team in third, fourth, playing for those playoff spots. There's a nice bit of battling still to be done before the end of the season.
Playoffs is going to be interesting this season.
Be interesting to see the seedings when it gets drawn.
Yeah. Then obviously after fourth we've got fifth, which is the Peterborough Phantoms. They're on 39 points.
Again, like I say, they got 4 points this weekend, so that is absolutely massive for them. So if you look, they would have been on 35 points, so they've actually jumped over, you know, Romford and Steel Dogs.
Yeah, massive. So that puts Steel Dogs in 6th.
Yep.
Mid-table. Romford Raiders in 7th. They're on 35 points, played 35 as well.
Yep.
Then we've got Solway Sharks in 8th. Telford Tigers in 9th.
4 point gap there for Telford to try and get into those playoff spots as well.
Yeah, and you know as well you've got Bristol on the same amount of points as Telford.
Just played a game more.
Just a game more. So you see how close it is there. And obviously we've got the Berkshire Bees at plumb last at the moment, 19 points. 33 played. They've got a few games on people, so hopefully they'll be able to pick up a few points there. And
yeah, it's open. Like I say, I'd like to see them to still keep there or thereabouts with the teams just above them.
Yeah.
That concludes the fixtures for this week. Thank you very much. So to finish up our reflection of the week, we're going to look at our 3 stars of the week.
In third place, Mac Howlett.
Return of the Mac. Mac Owlett, yeah, he had a good weekend. You know, we mentioned Leeds coming off 2 defeats from the weekend previously. They scored 13 goals this weekend in a double win, and he got 3 goals, 4 assists, so over half the return this weekend.
Yeah, very good performance.
Very good.
Second place, we've got Sean Miller.
Yeah, another player who's doing really well this season. Got a good overall points tally.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's pushing for top spot as well. He's gone in there with a 4 goals, 5 assists this weekend.
Yeah, against Telford Sheffield game, wasn't it?
Yeah, so although they didn't get any points this weekend, he had a decent return, so fair play to him, he's going in there for us.
Yeah, and number 1's a big...
Number 1 is an absolute class act. We might have done him dirty by not putting him in last week after a big win against Leeds. So our number 1 star this week is Max Wright, the goaltender of the Berkshire Bees.
Yeah, he's saved 56 out of 58 shots.
Absolute class, that.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Absolute class. You know, we like to support the goaltenders as much as we do the goal scorers, and there's no bigger deserver of the number 1 spot this week than Max Wright. So well done. So now we're going to go into our big talking point this week, which is import structure of the NIHL. Is 3 imports enough? Too little? Or should we get more in? What do you reckon, Brad?
3 imports for me, pretty good.
Yeah, I like the idea of 3 imports. You've seen a nice array of talent from across the world, but you're also still sustaining the local and British talent that we've got in the country.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at the benefit of having 3 import players on the ice. You've got the quality goals being scored.
Yeah.
You know, as a fan, that's what you go there for. But then you also, on the flip side, you know, you're taking up spots for those GB players that are really pushing to be the best.
Yeah, I mean, the league is certainly getting tougher. We are seeing more players coming through. More imports are just really lighting up the league as well. You know, like if you look at the point scorers in the league, it is mainly import players. You know, is that a good or a bad thing? You start adding more to the game, you're going to lose the likes of, you know, you look at Seahawks, likes of Bonner, you know, class player. He's a joy to watch. You bring in more imports, so you're going to get less ice time. We see less of his weaving magic and hard hits. You know, it's something that needs to be discussed. I mean, I know for this season, having an import netminder counts as 2 of the slots out of the 3. Mm-hmm. So if we upped it to 5, is that basically just saying everybody gets an import netminder?
Yeah, which, to be honest, I can't see that being very good for the game.
No, absolutely not. I mean, if you're going to do that, the likes of, you know, Jordan McLaughlin, who we've currently got, who's doing really well, is going to get even less ice time because, you know, the more senior goalkeepers, like Gospel, for example, Brad Day, you know, very good British goaltenders, are we going to then push them backwards because it's going to be, should we actually go with an import netminder like everybody else, or should we actually hope these guys stick it out and do well?
Yeah, of course, and if everybody has an import netminder, I mean, how many goals are going to get scored in a game?
Well, yeah, and as a spectator, you want to be seeing goals, don't you?
Yeah, you do. I suppose you want that competitiveness more than anything. You want the back and forth, and you want everything that comes with that. But you know, you're not really going to see that many goals, or it's only maybe going to be your imports that are scoring.
Yeah, and obviously we're trying to bring through a lot of younger players. You know, the 18 to 21 bracket, and those who haven't had massive amounts of experience. If you're coming up against an import netminder, firstly you're not getting many minutes on the ice as it is, and then you go in one-on-one potentially with some really good experienced goaltenders. The chance of scoring, it's just going to demotivate you, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but you know, if you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best, haven't you? At the end of the day, so does that raise their game?
I appreciate that to a certain level, but for me, like, there's got to be that sort of chance. I'm not saying like we should give the younger players goals just so it gives them more confidence and potentially develops them more, but for me I'd just be really despondent if the 3-4 minutes you got on a night and you're just getting blanked because a goalkeeper's just pulling out stupid saves against you. So for me it's just, I'd rather stick to the British goaltenders, you know, supporting our own, and it keeps the game interesting.
Yeah.
We've seen it this season. We've seen some really good goaltending, some crazy saves by some of the tenders in the league already, and we've also seen some howlers.
Yeah. So let's say you have 4 imports. You increased it for 5 imports. Do you know where does it actually stop? And
Well, yeah. Where does it stop? And it's all right saying for the top teams in the league who potentially have more fans, revenue, sponsors who can afford to take these players in. It's easy for them to say, oh yeah, let's just do it. But what about those towards the bottom of the league? You know, we lost space in Stoke last year.
yeah,
You know, Berkshire Bees are struggling this year. Yes, with numbers, would more imports be better for them? Yeah, obviously it feels more men on the night, but it's cost as well.
it is. But you could sort of look at it from the point of view of you've got more imports on, you get more people in. You got people on seats coming to watch these top quality players playing for their local team. You know, you follow football, and that's all you want, a big high caliber player coming down into your team, showing people how it's done. But
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but for me personally, looking at a lot of the imports that I've seen for Hull teams over the years, they're not like household names, you know, unless they've been with other teams in the league or they're obviously returning. That's the only reason we know who they are. So you aren't like signing up and becoming a season pass holder because some guy from, I don't know, Finland's joined.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what you get with an import. We've seen already that, you know, imports come and go.
yeah,
You know, some of them get 10 games and it's not good, working out, it's not good enough, so they're shipped on. So I don't think you can sell your season tickets, your bums on seats on a player coming in that nobody really knows massively.
yeah, and I suppose the structure at the moment, you've got 3 imports, you've got 3 on one line. It leaves your other 2 lines relatively open,
Yeah.
competitive to fight for spots, and you know you've also got another couple of players on the ice that can go into that top line as well. So you get the experience. If you had 5 imports and your top line's just imports,
I was going to say, like,
Yeah.
if you start adding more imports to the rosters, then there's got to be rules behind it, like you can only put so many on at once.
Well,
Because otherwise, like you say, you'd have like an entire first line of just imports, and
it'd
it'd
be
just
like a cheat code, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it
You know,
just
quick,
it just sort
get
of ruin
off-
the game.
You want to get off the ice, get the imports back on, and before you know it, they've got, you know, most minutes, and the rest of the teams had 30 seconds on the ice each. It's just
So, with that being said, then, if we go to the extreme of having an entire line of imports because we've upped the cap, how would that then affect the British players? You know, if we just decide to just go, let's go crazy and make this league as open and fast and free scoring as anything we've ever seen, what does that say to the British players?
yeah, I could see a lot of them hang up the skates. To be honest, I mean, does that mean that the NIHL becomes the elite? If you've got that many imports in there, does it raise the profile that much? That almost comes the elite league, and then they've got to push their game as much as it's good for the support as a British player that you want to play for Steelers.
Yeah.
So you know you've got openings there every now and then, or if you're not playing for Steelers but you signed on by Sheffield, you'll play for Steel Dogs, and you know you can get some ice time.
Yeah. I mean, for me, a lot of players I think would just drop down the leagues. You know,
Yeah.
Jake Witkowski obviously played for Leeds Knights. He's dropped down the leagues and he's having a good time. He's putting points like nobody's business. Vulkanov, who played for Steel Dogs, is with Hull Jets. He's dropped down another level. I think you see a lot of the top talent Brits going the same way and dropping.
Yeah.
You know, just to have more of a chance, more minutes, and not be around as many imports.
Well, that's what it's about, isn't it? I mean, you're giving up your weekends essentially to play ice hockey.
Yeah.
Surely you want the minutes. If the minutes aren't available, you reduce the interest before you know it. You can't really get a roster of Brits, but on the flip side, you might not get to play many minutes, but you get to train with these people.
Yeah, I mean, you get to train with them. You get, up close and personal. You can get stories from them. Advice. I suppose that side of it is really good. Not many imports will be the same. If you had 5 imports, you have 5 different backgrounds, 5 different, skill bases to work with and hone your skills. So there's also that side of it where it'd be a massive positive. But for me, looking at it, you've got to keep the integrity of the structure we've got in British ice hockey. Yes, the Elite League is up there with its own sort of setup and structure. We've got ours. I also think you've got to look at the leagues below. Like, we need to keep it somewhat competitive because we need to keep that feeder sort of mentality going. If you add more imports, I think those players will struggle even more to even make the jump up, and we're then going to keep players halted at that level, and then there's nowhere to progress unless there is a real star amongst them.
Yeah, I fully agree with you on that point, to be honest. You know, you talk about, we previously touched on, you know, parents in pretty much investing in their children to play ice hockey. It's an expensive sport. You want them to go somewhere. If we start bringing in imports, it just potentially removes that, and you can only love it so much. And you know, where's the drive going to come from to be able to get to that level?
Yeah, I mean, you look at sort of like the GB setup as well at the minute. A lot of players are starting to come to the age where they're starting to drop out, so we need to be pushing the next generation of talent to really be getting in there.
Yeah, especially if we want to go to these international competitions and compete.
Yeah, exactly.
You need these players to get ice time and, you know, gel with each other. Otherwise, that's all it might be. Is, you know, you've got GB players playing for lower division teams just to get on the GB squad.
Yeah,
and that's the highlight of their hockey rather than the league.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at the financial side of imports then. So, like you say, at the minute, having 3, these players need housing, feeding, you know, looking after, transporting. If we add more imports, their costs go up to a club. So do you see that as not necessarily a massive issue, or do you think that would be a big issue to a lot of clubs?
Well, I actually think this would be interesting if you as fans can drop us a comment on this, because I think we'll get mixed reviews.
Yeah.
You might be from a team that's very wealthy, has got the money to be able to plough into those sort of players, and they'd be all for it because it means they're going to win titles.
Yeah.
You've got the other teams that are just trying to keep afloat and stay competitive, who essentially it'll just push out. So,
yeah, I agree with you. The sort of top 4 or 5 teams in our league, I think they would maybe want an extra, maybe 1 import to start with. You know, like I say, it would make it more competitive at the top, and you'd see a bit more class and a bit more tension towards the final run-ins of a season. But when you look towards the bottom of the league as it is, with, like, for example, the Berkshire Bees, you know, those guys are struggling. Yes, they'd get extra guys to dress for the night and play, but if they're struggling to get players now, there must be something that's a real problem for the club. So would it be putting more financial strain on them? Is that really the right way to go? You know, Basingstoke leaving the league last year, it's all costings at the end of the day. I mean, I know we've heard many times from Hull organisations that there isn't loads of money to be made in ice hockey. So it's how you sustain yourself. And if all of a sudden we agree as a league to just start adding more imports, we're saying we're committing to another, I don't know, £20,000 per player that's coming over. It's a lot to add on to a club.
Yeah, there's only so much money there at the end of the day, and you've also got to appreciate a lot of what these clubs already do. You know, like we've touched on, it's a very expensive sport, so the sponsorship they get in to try and, you know, keep a competitive team or create a competitive team is already hard enough. This might just be a little bit too far-fetched in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like you touched on it last week as well, when you said about obviously how British ice hockey isn't a massively well-known, well-followed sport. So the clubs are doing as much as they can do to get the name out there and get the brand out there. But if the sport doesn't have that cult following as opposed to the likes of football, there's only so much revenue money you can bring in.
Yeah.
So you can only do so much, and if you're going to have more costs without being able to add more to your funds, then how does it work out for you?
Yeah, of course.
It's only going one way, isn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely. I think I agree with you. You know, and if we start bringing more imports in as well, it'll cost X amount, say next year. What's it going to cost the year after that? Because if these imports perform, well, I'm sure they're going to be wanting more wages. If you want the same performance as I put in last year, then you're going to pay me a little bit more.
Yeah, I suppose it's like anything, it becomes a sort of bidding war. If a player sort of does really well this year, which I know for us, Owen Sobchak's going towards his first full season with the Seahawks, and he's on an absolute madness of point records. You know, what if all of a sudden the likes of Leeds Knights go, do you know what, we could maybe do with him,
and we can pay him more.
Exactly that. They're going to start offering more, and then how do the Hull Seahawks turn around and go, well, we can't match that, so we're just going to lose one of the better talents in the league.
I think it just franchises the whole thing, to be honest. for competitiveness, I really don't think it's going to be viable. I quite like the structure as it is now. So personally,
more's not necessarily better. I think
Yeah.
is sort of the bottom line that we want to get to here.
yeah.
I mean, once again, we'd like to hear your thoughts on this. You know, drop us some comments and tell us what you think. I know as a spectator, it would seem a really good idea to add more imports to the league. I think for the development, the structure, and the league as a whole, I personally don't think it's worth having anymore.
No, I think I agree with you. But yeah, seriously, let us know what you think, guys. So now we're going to move on to the upcoming fixtures of the weekend. Starting on Friday night, on the 17th of January, we've got Leeds Knights against Sheffield Steel Dogs.
Yeah, nice little Yorkshire derby there for Friday night. Should be a decent game. I know we've mentioned Sheffield being on a bit of an up and down, you know, a bit of motivation to maybe win it for Yorkshire. I only see it going one way there for me.
Yeah, I think Leeds will come away with a win there. I do think it's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, as all Yorkshire derbies normally are, there's going to be a lot to play for both teams, but I just think Leeds will come away with that one.
I think it'll be a tight scoreline. I'd say something like a 5-3 or something like that.
Yeah. Then we move on to the Saturday fixtures on the 18th of January. First up, we've got the Hull Seahawks against the Peterborough Phantoms at home.
Yeah, we don't have many Saturday home games, but this one will be an interesting one. You know, Peterborough coming off the back of that 4-point weekend. Will that spare them on to have a go at Hull Seahawks?
I think it will do. I think it will. That's going to be a really good game. Obviously, they're both in that battle for that 4th position at the moment. So, you know, whilst Peterborough, they've come away with some good results, so have we. And we've just played, you know, the top 2 teams in the league. I'm going to go Seahawks.
Yeah, I'd back us as well in that game. I think it'll be a tough game, but I think we'll come out on top in the end.
Yeah. Then on the Saturday, Swindon Wildcats against Leeds Knights. That will be tasty.
Yeah, that is a big game. That it's hard to say which way that will go. I think from what we saw by Swindon coming to Hull on Sunday, they've got that quick sort of play and some great finishing. I think if that comes out quickly in that game, Leeds could be a bit up against it.
Yeah. I think it could be quite a high scoring game. Tight, but high scoring.
I'm going to go for Swindon on that one.
Yeah, I think I will. So see what happens. Then we'll move on to the Berkshire Bees against Telford Tigers. Again, I think that will be a interesting game. You know?
I think it's a difficult one to call. Obviously, we've mentioned the Bees and what they've been doing in the past couple of weeks and getting some big results. It'll be interesting to see what they can put up there with the Telford Tigers.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on the outside and I'm going to go with the Bees on that one.
But I was going to say Telford, so...
Yeah, one of us is going to be wrong for this weekend.
It was you last weekend, sir? Then moving on to the Sheffield Steel Dogs and Milton Keynes Lightning.
Tough weekend for the first couple of games of the weekend for Steel Dogs, you know, playing Leeds and then on to Milton Keynes. You know, doing a bit like what Hull did this weekend with some top teams.
I think Sheffield will take it to them, and have Milton Keynes just shown that they have got cracks?
Yeah, I think they might have just got themselves together, regrouped, and they know they have to start winning every single game, no matter how it is.
Yeah, I'd like to say Sheffield was going to come away with that one, but to be honest, I do think probably class is going to show there. So MK. Then the Solway Sharks against the Bristol Pitbulls.
Yeah, the final fixture for the Saturday. Tough game to call that one. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Solway at the minute, so I'm gonna go for them, I think.
Yeah, well, I think Bristol are gonna obviously coming off the back of the weekend just gone, you know, only getting 1 goal. I think they're gonna make a statement now. If they need to let people know they're still here and, you know, not to write them off. So I think Bristol are gonna come away with that one.
Be interesting on that one.
So moving on to the Sunday fixtures on the 19th of January, starting with Sheffield Steel Dogs against Bristol Pitbulls.
Yeah, should be a decent game. For me, I'm going to go for Sheffield on that one. I just think they've got a bit more quality and their imports, Walker Sommer, I know I bring him up a lot, but he's on fire and I think he's the sort of player which will thrive in that game and probably come up with a multi-point night.
I can't disagree with you on that one. So we've got the Leeds Knights against the Berkshire Bees.
Are we going to get part 2 of the big win? It'd be nice to see it, wouldn't it, really?
From a Seahawks perspective, definitely.
I just think, like, if Leeds was to drop that, MK will be rubbing their hands and this title race gets even hotter as it
Yeah.
sort of runs towards the end.
Or if Leeds beat Swindon and then Bees beat Leeds, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would.
That'd blow it wide open. Then we've got the Romford Raiders against Hull Seahawks.
Yeah, so Romford obviously doing quite well, a bit hit and miss at times. Obviously we gave Sean Miller one of the stars of the week this week for his performance. So there's obviously a lot to be careful of for Seahawks going into that game. We'll obviously stick with my team and say Seahawks will win it, but I don't think it'll be easy.
Yeah, no, definitely I agree with that on that. I think we'll come away with the points, but it should be a good game to watch. Then moving on to the Peterborough Phantoms against the Solway Sharks.
Yeah, so I believe we mentioned these two against each other already in this weekend. So it should be an interesting game again.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Peterborough on this one then.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with Solway.
So the final fixture of the weekend, we've got Telford Tigers against Swindon Wildcats.
Another interesting one, I think, on paper. You look at it, league positions and whatnot. Swindon probably sweep Telford aside, but as we've mentioned before, it can be a bit of a bogey team.
Yeah.
So it could be another close game, but Swindon for the win.
Yeah. Kitty against Kitty.
Oof.
Yeah, all in all, good weekend coming up. I think looking at the fixtures, we'll have some good games there and be good to review next week.
Should be a lot of goals, I think, this weekend. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to get in the 3 stars of the week next week. And that concludes this week's episode of the Slapshot Syndicate. Once again, we'd like to thank you all for watching along. And for those that have just found us, please decide to give us a little like, subscribe and follow. Anything from you, Brad, to finish us up?
Yeah, no, thanks for all your support, guys. It's really appreciated. Like Aaron said, hit the like button, follow, subscribe. Our socials are on screen now.